Thank you, Rosaria, very much. Welcome all to this session. I don't have the first presentation. I will just make a small introduction. This is a session about the European research ecosystem and the talent ecosystem. And we are going to present, let's say, the presentation are split in two main sessions. The first one, it's from the European Commission representatives, which are presenting the initiatives for the talent ecosystem, how Europe wants to reform the researcher job in the future in order to increase productivity of Europe. There are ideas and initiatives and strategy behind in order to assist researchers not to remain only the academia, but to be able to shift between the industry and the academia and show the talent, let's say, not to remain only to the one or the other sector, but to be flexible. And then we will present some tools that a group of sister projects is building. We'll focus more on the DeepTechSeeds, which is a research project that we are coordinating, which provides frameworks, provides tools in order to help the early career researchers, first of all, to be more literate for deep tech technologies, which is a key aspect in order to proceed with and advance your research skills, and then how they can be more engaged in this new situation that is created for the talent ecosystem. So becoming a very good researcher, becoming a talent, how you can be flexible in your career path and not to follow the typical linear one, but to be flexible to have a non-linear between the academia and the industry. So I propose to start. Before that, I would like to ask Stefano to disable your screensaver because it's very, very fast. So I worry that potentially will create issues. And we start. So the first sessions are delivered by European Commission representatives. We have Stein and Dario. Stein is the project officer of ERA Ecosystem. Dario is a policy
officer.
Policy officer. Sorry, my mistake. Policy officer. My first word that comes to my mind is the policy briefs. Okay. And as you see, yeah, it is coupled with that. So as you see, these projects and this initiative from the European Commission is not only for research, but it's also research for the strategic decisions of Europe in the future. So if we are ready, I give the floor to Dario.
Thank you very much, Arilaos, and good afternoon, everyone. So I think that in order for you to better understand what the concrete projects, or in this case, one of them, one of these talent ecosystems projects that we have ongoing, what they are doing and in which context they are working, I will present to you a bit of policy of what we are doing, where we are at European level. So I am Dario Capezzuto. I work in DG Research and Innovation, the European Commission, and I work in the unit which deals with research careers. So what are we trying to do at European level? We are trying to implement a fully functioning European research area. European research area is something which now is also in the treaties, and it is the ambition to have a single market for researchers, for scientific knowledge, and for technology. So to have a system which is integrated, of course, with the full respect also of national competences, so not everything can be really fully integrated, but this is the ambition of the European research area. And of course, this also means having really free mobility of researchers within the area. which is in short. So in order to make sure that this ambition is really translated into something factual, we have a number of policies that have been developed and continue to be developed and implemented, especially in the last few years. And these are normally of a voluntary nature. So there are, as I will explain in a moment, there are many policy initiatives that can be implemented, and we try to stimulate the implementation in order to achieve this European research area, a fully functional one. In addition to the voluntary instruments that we have had until now, we are now working on a binding instrument, so a legislative instrument which will allow, we hope, to solve some of the outstanding obstacles. And this is something which is really new. We are working on it right now. We had several consultations with all the relevant stakeholders, and we also had 2 opportunities for the public to explain what are the problems that they encounter, what are their suggestions. This happened in the context of a call for evidence that we did, and which closed in September, and then a public consultation which closed 3 months ago in January. The ERA Act aims at addressing 3 main problems of the European research area. One is investment. We need to have more investments in research and development. We had a target, which is the 3% of GDP, so of gross domestic product in Europe, on research and development. This has been there for far too long. We are still at 2.2% in Europe. So one of the objectives is to strengthen investment. At the same time, we want to make sure that investment and cooperation between the European Union level and national level is aligned, that there is coordination in order to have a stronger impact. So that's the second objective that the ERA Act wants to achieve. And then a third objective is to foster a free circulation of researchers and knowledge. This is what Enrico Letta called, and before him a former Commissioner Potocnik, called the 5th freedom. In the EU, we have 4 freedoms: free movement of people, of capitals, goods and services. This will be the 5th freedom for research and innovation. So this is what we are doing. This proposal for this ERA Act is expected by the end of the year. So stay tuned. This is a very important moment, we believe, for the European research area. But let me focus back on what we are doing, as I said, on a voluntary basis. We have a strong cooperation between all relevant stakeholders. This means member states, countries that participate to Horizon Europe, which is this very important funding program of the EU for research and innovation, and relevant stakeholders, so universities, associations of universities, research centers, researchers and their associations, and so on. And in this context, we have several, as we call them, structural policies or actions. So basically things that we decide to do at European level in order to support better implementation of the European research area. And of course, research careers is one of these things. A very important aspect, I have to say, because there is a lot of support by all stakeholders. I have to say, even member states, all of them are really interested in working on this. We work in 3-year cycles, which are called ERA policy agendas. In the previous one, which ran between 2022 and 2024, we achieved important objectives because we adopted a document adopted by member states, by the Council, a Council recommendation, setting the new European standards for research careers. This is something very important because it means that now we have a document which recommends what to do in order to reinforce research careers in all sectors, so academia but also beyond academia, and also to foster mobility between sectors, which is extremely important in the context of the talent ecosystems. So we have achieved these new standards. We wanted to support the implementation of these new standards by everyone, by all stakeholders, and we have several tools to support this, but we also wanted to put some investment to support incentivize even more the implementation of these new standards, and therefore we had, in the context of Horizon Europe, some funding to support some projects that would create talent ecosystems. I don't want to explain too much right now what talent ecosystems are supposed to be because it will be said later on, but just to say that they are an instrument to support the implementation of the new standards, an instrument as we are also thinking of, or we are also developing several others. So in the new ERA policy agenda, which is this new cycle of 3 years that started last year, we will make sure that we develop instruments that can further support, in particular, institutions in implementing these new standards. And so you see here reference to guidelines, community of practice, recommendations, and so on. And we will also see how to further develop this idea of talent ecosystems to support, and this is where you can see what are our objectives, to support early career researchers, to offer better careers to early career researchers, and to do this in the context of talent ecosystems where the focus is on making sure that organizations that train and employ researchers in the public sector and in the private sector cooperate in order to make sure that research careers can have better working conditions and can have better employment opportunities. For the working conditions, we have an important instrument, which is the European Charter for Researchers, which includes some principles to improve research careers. So we want the organizations, the partners that work together in the context of these projects, in the context of the talent ecosystems to implement these principles of the European Charter for Researchers, and we expect that this will also bring organizational change, so some improvements in the functioning of the organizations, and overall better working conditions for early career researchers, but more in general for all researchers that are part of the ecosystem. And because of this close cooperation between academia and the private sector, we want to make sure that researchers are trained according to the needs of the private sector, which is in the interest of the private sector, of course, because it means having really well-prepared and strong talents, what they want, what they need. And it is also in the interest, of course, of researchers, because they have this way better opportunities for their career. And overall, this contributes to more attractive research careers. As I said, we had some support from Horizon Europe already, and this is why we already have 10 projects which are the result of a pilot call. They are ongoing, and today you will see what is happening in particular for one of these projects, which is focusing on deep tech. In total, we have 10 projects currently ongoing, and this will be continued. So there will be a new call in 2027, which will be refined based on the experience of this pilot call. There will be more money, 29 million in this call. And of course, this will allow to go further, to build on what has already been achieved by these first 10 projects. And we will also make sure that there is more more of a spillover effect going beyond researchers and providing some better careers also to other research and innovation staff, for example, research managers or research technicians. So this is what I wanted to say from my side regarding the policy context, and my colleague Stein Delori from the Research Executive Agency of the Commission will further continue. So happy anyway later on to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dario. Hello, everyone. So indeed, I'm in the Research Executive Agency. We're managing the 10 talent ecosystem grants, or portfolio, I should say. And to give you a picture of what a talent ecosystem is, think of a cluster of, for instance, pharmaceutical companies, or AI companies, or battery companies, or deep tech companies. They have a need of specifically trained talents. They collaborate together with academia and other training providers to specifically deliver these type of talents. PhD students, postdocs, and so on. Training them in the skills that are future-looking, that are forward-looking. So that such a long-term collaboration is what we have in mind with the talent ecosystem. In this, you will see more about it in the DeepTechSeeds. So we have 10 of these. I will explain you a bit what they are doing as an overview, and then we go even deeper with Stefanos and Haralao's presentation. So here is just a list of the 10 projects and the coordinators. I'm not going into detail about it, but you can check them on the website. Overall, who are they? How they are composed in their consortia? So about a third of them are higher or secondary education establishments. There are a quarter are private for-profit entities, research organizations that are public bodies. So we have several other sectors. So it's academia, business cooperation, or academia non-academic sector cooperation, which is of course the purpose. What are they doing or focusing on? So all the projects are focusing on academia business cooperation. Okay, this is obvious. There's skills development following the employer's needs, career development and employability. This is what we asked for. Some of them have a geographical focus, which is quite interesting regionally. 2 of them focus especially on Balkans. 2 others are regional, not looking at a country, but really specific regions in certain countries where there are skills gaps in, for instance, healthcare, or in, but this is more an agnostic project. There are those with a disciplinary focus, like deep tech or digital. There are 2 of them, Next Tech Talents and DeepTechSeeds, in manufacturing or automotive, and in healthcare. The aspects that the talent ecosystems are covering, linked to the ERA structural policy that was already explained by Dario, are diverse. These are all keywords that may not say something to you. Entrepreneurship, of course, is something very important. There is one smart researchers project that's focusing on the development of career centers that are actually providing guidance to postdoctoral researchers to better or more easily move around, circulate to non-academic sector and back, and so on. So these are just a few examples. Now, next to having 10 projects that are each working individually to create an ecosystem for talent circulation and talent training together with non-academic sector, the 10 projects are also cooperating on a voluntary basis. They coordinate activities, they provide feedback to the policymakers in the member states as well of the EU, as well as to the Commission, and they join forces. So there are several working groups set up, for instance, one focusing on tools, one on matchmaking platforms, one on communication and feedback to policy. We have a cluster event coming up with the 10 talent ecosystem projects. This will be a public event. I'll come back to it. And you're, of course, very much welcome to join. They are being a reflection group for the European Commission when the Commission is developing new tools. So all of this is happening in addition to what the projects are doing individually. So the portfolio as such became a real instrument for the Commission to test things in the structural policy for research careers. So the cluster event is being organized together with the projects, and the projects will, showcase what they are doing in detail. We will discuss first feedback to policy, meaning policy recommendations from the projects to the Commission, as well as how future grants, the ones that are for which there is a call next year, can be improved. So you're all very welcome to participate. The invitations or the cluster event agenda will be published early May. So keep an eye on it. We will communicate it through the usual Commission channels. That's it from my side. Give the floor to Harry Lauwers.
If there are questions for the Commission side now, or do we proceed?
I think we can proceed.
We proceed. Okay.
Okay, we want to see until the end.
Okay.
There is one question.
Yes, please.
One question regarding Cordis. Are these projects available on Cordis?
Yes. Yes. All the 10 projects are available in Cordis, yes. Okay.
I may have a question then.
Yes.
Everything is open source there.
Up to now, the planning is what we are developing. That's why we are here. We'll make it available open source.
What about the other projects?
About the other projects, I cannot say.
Oh, okay.
Even better.
You can call me for check.
Okay. We'll scrutinize everything. Okay. Good afternoon by me as well. I'm Dr. Harilaos Koumaras from the National Center of Scientific Research, Demokritos. It is the biggest Greek public research organization located in Athens, Agia Paraskevy. We are the project coordinators of DeepTechSeeds projects, and also to mention that together with us in this room, we have also one partner participating in the event. We have also UPV, and Nacho and Rafa, they are representing here UPV. So, as described by Dario and Stein, there is a change, there is a shift for the future of the Commission to create a talent ecosystem, so to have the researcher to identify his and her talents and to make easy for him and her to shift between the industry and the academia, not to be something totally decoupled as it is today. We'll focus a little bit on the activities that we do in DeepTechSeeds, because we focus on the early career researcher. It's this ECR that you noticed previously in the presentations of Stein. This means that we want to assist young researchers to follow the new path and not the traditional path. And we are here because here the audience is very relevant. We have young researchers, young developers that either belong to the universities, work for universities, either work for the industry. They meet here, they discuss their career paths, and that's it. We want to create now an easy mix. So, just a few things to bridge also, to complement what has been described. For you that potentially you are not aware, there is the European Charter for Researchers. So the European Commission itself has created a list of guidelines how the organizations can implement different conditions at HR level, at managerial level, at professional level, in order to facilitate this non-linear career of a researcher, of a young, let's say, researcher, but of a researcher in general. So, one part of our project is to complete a survey of where we are in Europe today with the implementation of the Charter. So, are the organizations, are the companies aware of these guidelines? Have they implemented them? Are the early career researchers aware of their rights, of the guidelines, of the possibilities that are provided? This is one thing that we are going to discuss today. And the second focus that we have is to accelerate, let's say, the skills of the early career researchers in deep tech technologies like AI, materials, 5G, quantum, etc., key deep tech areas that the European Commission has identified in order to make them more competitive for this new talent ecosystem. Okay? So, up to now, their ecosystem provides some tools. First of all, the Charter for Researchers, the guideline, handbook, and etc. There are also these research comp for you that potentially you are not familiar with, are self-assessment tools available online, which an early career researcher can take the test online. It's free, it's easy, it's fast, and you have a feedback of where you are ranked in terms of the talent ecosystem, in terms of different skills that you should have fully developed for this new research area. So, that is the target that we are here. We want to identify the early career researchers and to spread the word that we're building tools for them, we're building material that is very relevant in order to facilitate their careers and their shift between industry and to foster the collaboration between academia and the industry for the researchers. Now, just a few words for the DeepTechSeeds. We started in October and we are still ongoing. We are funded under this pilot call together with the other 9 projects, 10 in total. We focus in the early career researchers and in the DeepTechSeeds, in the deep tech areas. And the consortium is, we are a small project, we are not so many, but we have, as you can notice, both academia, industry, startup accelerators, universities. So we have all the relevant actors that actually build this talent ecosystem that we want to expand it at European level. Now, the basic activities that we are delivering is, first of all, a framework for the early career researchers that will assist them to understand better their rights, their skills in the deep tech area, and also the Charter implementation. We have some targeted training and skills development modules. We will deliver a talent ecosystem platform where early career researchers could register in order to advertise their talents, their skills, and to foster collaboration either with academia or with industry. And finally, we provide also policy feedback back to the Commission in order to influence, if you like, the policy strategy of the Commission. So, first results about the analysis of the EU Charter, the Charter for Researchers. Where we are now, this is an activity that we started in October and we completed now, end of February. So we have performed a survey across Europe we managed to have a very good sample for many countries, European countries. So we had from the Central and Eastern Europe 124 early career researchers, 50 companies, and 30 academic institutions. From Southern Europe, 92 ECRs, 54 companies, and 36 academic institutions. And then from the Western Europe and Northern Europe, 2 ECRs, 60 companies, and 12 academic institutions. So we have a very good spread across Europe to understand what is the status of the Charter for Researchers implementation, what is the implementation status, and where we are with the different aspects of the Charter. The mobility paradox, first of all, what we identified. The early career researchers are very prone to follow a non-linear career. They are eager to do so, to shift between the industry and the academia. But there are structural barriers that the return pathway from the industry to the academia is fully blocked. So if you leave the academia and go to the industry, due to IP legal complexities, usually it's difficult to continue your work back to academia. Funding fragility. Many early career researchers are project dependent, so they don't have reassured a funding source in order to build their career. The majority of them, they are on short-term contracts. So this discourages the long-term innovation. And finally, researchers leave the academia to work for the industry, but not for research sometimes. They go to the production. Then we have competency gaps. Here, we notice that there is a gap between what would be expected from the companies for the early career researchers and what actually is the performance based on business intelligence that we perform for researchers that work in the industry. So it seems that there is a gap in terms of how the early career researchers are graduated from the universities, from the academic institutions, how they have built their background working for research projects in the academia, and what is expected when you work for research in an industrial institution. And finally, recruitment versus retention. The policies and the processes that are applied are assessed as very transparent, but the career roadmap for the researchers, it's not very clear. It seems that from the recruitment to the retention and finally your business, let's say, career development, there is a gap that, again, we'll also publish all the results of the survey. It seems that some researchers decide to drop research and go to the production because of this uncertainty. Now, what we are building, identifying this gap, we will deliver at the second half of the year. The target is for September. Independently of the timing of the project, we want to make it available at the clustering event. We are building the so-called DeepTechSeeds framework, which is actually a suite of tools, which will, first of all, has some material for the charter alignment, so to increase awareness of the early career researchers of what is the charter, what they should expect, what they should demand from their institutions. Then we'll have the Deep Tech Comp. This is a self-assessment tool that we are building in order to help the early career researchers to become more literate, let's say, as a baseline in specific deep tech areas that are necessary for the research field in European area. Some transversal skills as well covers these self-assessment tests, like technology transfer, IP issues, business intelligence, etc. And finally, we create also a toolkit and some material that will help with implementation. Will provide some guidelines that will help the implementation for research organization, for the industry, etc. So we try to cover both aspects, to help both the researcher but also the institutions to align with the European Charter for Researchers. And the focus is always the early career researcher. So, next step. This framework will become available at the second half of 2026. The target is to announce it in the clustering event in September, the ecosystem. It's not fully aligned with the timing of the project, but we'll manage to deliver it for the event. We'll make it available to all the early career researchers, free, online, for anybody to participate, and also available for the HR departments of different organizations that want to check their alignment with the charter. Now, what we want from the open community, we want to get engaged. So, currently we have the communication channels and the newsletter. You can register, you can follow us. We will announce all the framework and all the available tools online. Everybody will be all open source. Everybody will be free for use. And I think it's a very good opportunity to spread the word to your HR departments that Europe creates a talent ecosystem. The employability of a researcher is changing in order to become more competitive and more flexible, I will say. That's all from me. I don't know if there is any question. Yes?
Perfect. So you have the join us things there. Why don't you have something like Mastodon and you include X? Because you're funded by the European Commission, right? So a little bit of sovereignty and independence would be nice.
Okay, I will communicate this to the communication team of the project because I'm not the one. But I understood it's very difficult many times to deal with the communication people because they have marketing ideas that does not easily change. Okay.
Oops. But it was a good remarks, actually. We have another question.
I apologize, I may have missed something, but I'm a little bit mixed up because you said to follow researchers since they left university.
Yes.
At what level? Master or PhD level? Because in principle, PhD is the training for a researcher, not the master.
There is an official definition, Steph. There is an official definition by the Commission of what is an early career researcher. So this is not up to us to define. There is a lot of work that has been performed by the Commission itself to define what is a researcher, how it is defined, the job of researcher, etc. So for the Commission, there are different levels, and a researcher, early career researcher, can be considered anyone that has completed the postgraduate studies. So this is the first level of a researcher. No, PhD is not mandatory. It is a different level of a researcher, but it is not mandatory according to the Commission. Yes?
So if I understand correctly, master's is not enough.
Yes, yeah, for the level 1.
So it should be more than a master. It should be more than a master, if I understand correctly.
To be more, in order to be considered as a researcher, no. But the researcher itself is divided into different levels. If you have a PhD, you are level 3, I don't remember by heart. If you are a professor, you are level 5, for example.
So when starts the researcher?
Once you have graduated with a master's degree.
With a master's degree?
Yeah.
That's not good.
I can agree, in some level. Do you have a question, other question? An observation could be interesting, more than a question and curiosity. Why you don't... I was a researcher. I'm not anymore. So I found always difficult, and what I am doing with Open Community for Research is try to have a bridge between researchers and industry, because there is none. Yeah. So you want instead to create this different figure that can jump around between research and academia, and industry, or whatever other institution we have. So you don't see a possibility to work together and having one researcher or a community of researchers that works both. For academia.
No, I think it is.
Yeah, but this is really difficult.
Yes, we know. But this is
that's a challenge. I think it's a bigger challenge
that the condition want to change. And I want to emphasize what Stein and Dario presented previously. All of us, we know, for example, the AI Act. Okay, something that we know, and we should consider now that also an ERA Act exists. Okay, so the Commission takes this, and the government, the European government, very seriously, that the rights of the researchers will gradually become a legislation. So if the member states should align with this, probably they need to change, the restrictions that does not allow this collaboration. Not easy. I agree.
No.
I work for the academia, and for example, if I decide to work, because I'm a public or research organization.
Why you don't want to work with industry?
If I decide to work for an industry, then I have to drop from my job. It's not allowed for me.
Yes.
So,
yeah, that's something I see, I'm discussing. So that was a curiosity out of this, of course, because it's the first.
But I think that this is all about that there is this initiative at European level, not only from some pilot projects. The pilot projects are here to help with this implementation. I think that the initiative is much higher, at higher level, a political level. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, okay. I mean, as an open source community, we foster this because we need to collaborate all together. So
yes, exactly.
That's why I also suggest that. On the other side, I think it's great that we are doing this kind of jumping around, because we are bringing also innovation, technology, and knowledge around. So I can bring my knowledge from the academia to the industry, to the academia. So that's also some good part. And yes, you want to intervene. The last thing I want to say is that, yes, you're true, it's difficult working with marketing and communication, but also it's good that now we know about that, because I didn't know about this ERA Act,
Thank you. I would like to react to your question. Are there people who are working in both industry and academia, not either and move around? Either one of them and move around. Well, there are countries who actually fund people who are exactly doing that. So in some countries they are called industrial research managers, and they are partly funded by the government, partly by clusters of companies. They are usually working in academia, but what they actually do is coordinate the flow through of knowledge from the academia to the business cluster, and make sure there are trainers from the companies training PhD students in the academia. So they are kind of liaison persons, and some governments in the EU have actually set up such a system which, well, creates very good talent ecosystems because of this. So yes, there are this type of people, and it's an example for other countries, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know myself some of these examples, but I know, I mean, knowing the different academia and industry, I just say that is difficult. And with this, I don't want to say that we need to reduce the number of researchers, because if we have one person for both, it means that we are maybe reducing the job positions. Yeah. I don't know. But this is, you know, we can talk about this for hours, but we have people that will do that for us.
I believe that Agentic AI is laughing at us when we discuss this, because probably could be reduced by agents, but
yes.
okay.
Yes, that's true. No, that's not true. I don't think so.
Okay.
But we will see.
For now.
This is another discussion, yes. Okay, so we are ready for the next session. Thank you so much for being here.